It's your man Alex, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going over 10 big mistakes that you guys need to avoid when you're cutting your own hair. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Alex. I'm pretty big here on YouTube, known for my self-haircut videos. My first self-haircut video is around 5.4 million views right now. You guys can check that out. I'll leave it in the card section above for you. So I know there's a lot of people out there that are currently trying to cut their own hair. And I hope in today's video, I can offer you guys some really good tips and good advice on things you need to avoid when you're cutting your own hair. So if that sounds good, make sure you guys leave this video a like, subscribe down below if you're new to my channel, and let's get right into this video.
Yeah, boy, you got this. Come on, let's go. You got this. I'm ready. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, no. Why you do me like this? Oh, man. I'm so sorry, everyone. I had to do that in at least one of my videos. But the first big mistake you need to avoid is taking too much hair off with your initial guideline. As you can see on screen right now with my previous haircuts, my initial guideline is just about 1/2 inch to 1 inch in length from my ear. So you need to make sure you only cut about 1/2 inch to 1 inch around the sides of your head. And then as you approach the back of your head, you can cut off a little bit more on a downward angle to make your initial guideline flow with your head shape. And so this brings me into the second mistake, and that is having a crooked guideline. Think of cutting these lines in your hair as art. Your biggest goal is to make sure these lines are as perfectly straight as possible. The reason for this is because with straight lines, it will make fading in those hard lines extremely easier, and you won't need to constantly mess with the lever on the clippers to blend in those weird angled cuts you made with the initial guideline. As you can see, with this haircut, I'm using my clippers with no guard and the lever closed. This basically means I'm going for the most bald look possible with my initial guideline. If you need to practice the motions, I recommend you turn off your clippers and position your body accordingly using your mirrors. Pretend like you're cutting your hair with the clippers turned off. This way you can get used to the motion while looking through the mirrors. If you guys have any questions regarding my mirror setup when cutting my hair, click the link in the card section above in the upper right corner to watch my mirror setup with a fade video. If you practice these things, your initial guideline should come out as straight as mine. Now, the third big mistake to avoid is not using your lever on the clippers to fade in those hard lines. Typically, the best way to fade in the hard lines is to adjust your lever to the halfway position. So normally your lever is either closed for a shorter cut or open for a slightly longer cut. But with the lever halfway open, you can use this lever position to flick up and away to try and get rid of that hard line. Make sure you place your clippers just below the hard line and then flick up and away. Your goal is not to dig into the next section of your hair. Your goal is to blend in that hard line using the lever. In this self haircut, my initial guideline was done using the number 1 guard with the lever closed. So I'm switching back and forth between the lever halfway open to the lever completely open when blending in that hard line. So this was the final product of the fade for this self haircut, and I think it was honestly one of my best fades to date. The fourth biggest mistake you need to avoid when cutting your own hair is cutting too high on the side of your head. And I mean so high that you're digging into the hair on top of your head. This is a very, very big no-no. The best way to avoid cutting the length on top of your head is to make sure you have a distinct part line. Now, unless you're going for a buzz cut, you can ignore this tip, but for you guys that buzz your head, you still need to be smart about how far you go up your head using a single guard. So when parting your hair, find the corner of your eyebrow where the horizontal part of your eyebrow meets the part that angles downward. Grab your comb and position the comb straight up. Your part line should also be very close to the corner of your forehead. Once you've found your part line, grab your comb and glide the teeth long ways from the front of your head to the back of your head. Then comb the hair down to the side of your head. Lift up your comb and start combing the excess hairs down. Those excess hairs are going to get cut along with the rest of the hair on the side of your head. You can do the exact same technique to part the other side of your head. The fifth biggest mistake you need to avoid is wetting your hair before using your clippers. Recently, I saw a YouTuber recommend to wet your hair before cutting it, and I almost internally exploded. Look, your clippers are not meant to be cutting wet hair. They are designed to slice through dry hair. When you wet your hair, you're adding density and weight to your hair. This is going to choke up your blades and destroy your clippers. Especially if you have cheaper clippers, your clipper blades are going to get caught in your hair and it's going to hurt you really bad. So please do not wet your hair before cutting it with the clippers. Save yourself from the pain and your clippers from breaking. The sixth biggest mistake you need to avoid when cutting your own hair is not shaping up your neck lineup according to the natural contour of your specific head shape. Trimming your neck can be somewhat tricky because you have to bend your arm in weird angles, but if you practice enough with the trimmers turned off, you will see that it's really not that hard. Everything in life seems difficult until you finally do it, and then you tell yourself that it was easy looking back at it. The same thing goes for cutting your own hair. It looks difficult, but if it were impossible, then how am I so easily able to cut my own hair? You guys can do it. Maneuver yourself looking through the mirrors to find the positions that are most comfortable for you. When cutting, I usually like to press down with the blades to create that straight line and then pull away from my head to clean up that area from hair. So this is a great representation of a good neck lineup following the contour of my head. The seventh biggest mistake you need to avoid is cutting too much hair off the top right away using your scissors. When cutting the top of your head with scissors, the best way to go about it is sectioning off your hair. If you haven't seen my original self-haircut video, you can find it in the card section and fast forward to about the 12th minute. The first thing I do is wet my hair and then I create a middle part line. So I section off my hair, creating a left and right side of my head. Once you see this, ask yourself how much hair do you want to get cut off? Do you want to cut off 1 inch of hair because it's getting too long? Or do you only want to trim off the dead ends? Whatever it is you choose to do, always start off by cutting a little bit less than what you want. This way you can always check to see if that length is what you want to have, and you can always cut more hair off if you feel it's not short enough. The last thing you want to do is cut a big chunk of your hair right away and then have to end up with a shorter haircut than originally planned. You can never go back once you cut off more than intended, but you can always keep cutting more if you don't cut enough. So the eighth biggest mistake to avoid when cutting your own hair is using your scissors on dry hair when cutting the length on top. Please do not do this. If you have hair like myself where it is not perfectly straight or thin, you must wet your hair. You can see how coarse and wavy my hair is. If I even attempt to pull up the hair using a comb in order to cut it with the scissors, look what happens. All of my hair starts to bend and curve in all different directions. This is not the way cutting your hair should be. Save yourself and wet your hair. What I like to do is completely wet my hair and then wring out any excess water so it's not dripping on me. It must be 100% wet, but not drenched in water. It should be enough for you to run your comb through it and every strand of hair stays completely straight and in order. You can see how big of a difference wetting your hair does. I know you saw the before when my hair was dry. Every time you comb up your hair and cut straight across, your hair will be perfectly even once you dry it. Oh my gosh, the ninth biggest mistake you need to avoid when cutting your own hair is using a handheld mirror. Please do not use a handheld mirror. I used this tiny handheld mirror for years before I finally bought a stand-up mirror. There are a million problems I can think of using a handheld mirror when cutting your hair. Two big reasons are, number one, the mirror is really small so you won't be able to see the back and sides of your head properly whatsoever. And secondly, if you have never cut your own hair before, how do you expect to multitask and hold this lousy mirror in one hand without shaking and cut your hair using the other hand? You won't be able to do it. I recommend you guys watch my mirror setup video, link in the cards, and purchase yourself a $7 Walmart mirror like I have. It will save you a ton of hassle and stress, and this mirror is extremely affordable. The 10th and final mistake on this list that you need to avoid when cutting your own hair is not really your fault, but it's having poor vision. If you wear glasses or if you are farsighted and cannot see up close, I would recommend you guys go to your eye doctor and get prescribed a pair of contact lenses. If you put a pair of clippers in your hand, knowing you cannot see properly, you deep down already know it's not going to end well for you and your hair. So the contact lenses that I use are the AccuView Oasis 2-week set. They are not sponsored whatsoever, but I have been wearing contacts for the past 8 years, and these are my favorite lenses. Call up your local doctor and get some contact lenses. If you want a sexy self haircut, you're gonna want to see what you're doing. I believe in you 100% that you can cut your own hair.
YouTube! I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions for me, feel free to let me know down below in the comment section. I'll do my best to get back to every single one of your questions. Make sure you guys leave this video a like, subscribe down below if you're new to my channel. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.